and David Taub here from NextLevelGuitar.com. How you doing? Hope all is well. And we've been getting tons and tons of emails about guitar players not fully understanding the concept of different tunings and whatnot. So I thought we'd spend some time talking a little bit about E-flat tuning, which is a real common one. Many of you probably already know that one. If you know it and you know what it's all about, this module/lesson probably is not for you. But for the people who don't, grab a chair, listen up, right? Lots of guitar players and lots of bands use E-flat tuning. It's a very common tuning for many reasons, and we're going to talk about that. But basically all it is you're tuning each string of your guitar down 1/2 step, okay, or 1 fret. Remember, in guitar lingo, a whole step is equal to 2 frets, okay? Or you might have heard that called a whole tone. And a 1/2 step is equal to 1 fret. You might have heard that called a semitone. So you're taking all the strings, E, A, D, G, B, E, your open strings, and you're tuning them down a 1/2 step, or making them a 1/2 step flat. So now the strings low to high are E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, and E flat. And a lot of tuners have flat buttons on those, and I'll explain that as far as how you can get your guitars in E-flat tuning if you're not ready yet to tune by ear. Because if you could tune by ear, you could just, if you're in standard tuning, right? This guitar, by the way, I dropped down to E-flat when I was playing the intro before, just so you could hear what it sounds like. But you can always finger an E-flat note, like on the, whatever, 1st fret of the D string, play that E-flat, tune your low E string to that E-flat, then you have your low E, now an E-flat, and then tune all your other strings to the low E, to the E-flat, and then you're in E-flat tuning, right? But most people are probably using tuners if they haven't developed their ear to that point. You certainly want to develop your ear. That's one of the most important things, I think, as a musician. So keep working if you are a site member on those ear training lessons. The reasons why bands and guitarists tune their guitars down a 1/2 step is several reasons. One being it sounds a little heavier. Remember, being a 1/2 step lower, you're loosening the strings, so there's a little more slack in the strings, so it sounds a little heavier. That's why a lot of these real heavy bands, they tune down even lower. Drop D, drop C, some even tune down, A sharp, way down, because it sounds heavier. So E-flat sounds a little heavier. E-flat tuning also, a lot of guitar players, especially if you're using really thick strings, like I use 11 gauge strings, 11 to 56 or 52 on the top, on the low E. So actually tuning down to E-flat makes it a little easier to bend the strings and to work the notes and to get more tone out. Remember, I'm a firm believer that tone is in your hands, and the stronger your hands are, the more dexterous, the more you can work those notes, the more tone you're going to get. Just my opinion. Tone is in your hands and in your heart, right? So it sounds heavier, it's a little easier to bend the strings, and probably most importantly is a lot of times you want to tune down to E-flat because it gives the singer that 1/2 step of relief. So instead of everything he's singing now, or she's singing, is a 1/2 step lower, you don't have to hit, and that 1/2 step makes a big difference, a real big difference. So you don't have to work your vocals as much, as far as you'll have that 1/2 step, you'll be a 1/2 step lower. So it makes it easier from a vocal standpoint too. And if you never tried this and you're a singer, try it. Try, tuning, or if you're like an acoustic singer-songwriter or something, try tuning to E-flat, and you'll notice that it'll be a little bit easier to hit some of the higher registers. Okay, so those are mainly the reasons why it's done. And some bands exclusively use E-flat tuning, like most Van Halen recordings are in E-flat. Most of them, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, the band Live. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So many bands use it at one time or another in their careers, or exclusively. It's pretty cool, so you should check it out. Now, for those of you who don't or aren't able to tune by ear as yet, if you have your tuners, most of them will have a button on them that says flat, okay? For instance, this is a Korg GA30 guitar tuner. It's a basic tuner that works really well. It's accurate, and it's about $15, $12 if you can get it on sale at Guitar Center, right? Or wherever, your local music store. Visit the mom and pop stores. So what you would do is you would turn it on, okay, and then hit the flat button once, and a small little flat sign comes up next to where the notes will be reading out. So it'll say, like if you hit your guitar string, it'll say E, and then it'll be a flat, E flat. So one flat then tune your guitar just normally. As long as a flat sign is on there, that's meaning every open string, as you tune it, you could tune it down a half step, and it makes it really, really easy. And most tuners will have that flat. If it's a chromatic tuner or another type of tuner where it will pick it up automatically, I was just taking all the flat signs off. Make sure that, obviously if you want to go back to standard tuning and there's one flat symbol there, you got to erase that. Just keep hitting that flat sign until all the flats go away. But if you have another type of tuner, a lot of times if you hit, that will pick up the note without have to manually hitting a flat like a chromatic tuner. You just hit it and you just drop the string down. So you would tune that low E on your tuner to the meter reads down to E flat, or some of the tuners might actually read it as D number sign. Number sign means sharp, or D sharp. Okay, same basic thing. So, and then what you could do is when you get all your strings tuned, make sure, because you're going to be taking a lot of tension out of the neck, dropping everyone down a half step, you might have to go back and do it 2-3 times before they all stay in tune, especially if you use thick strings. Get them all in tune, and then you're ready to go. And it's pretty critical, especially if you're trying to figure out a song by ear, or figure out a song off a CD or off your iPod. And if it's in E flat tuning and you're in standard tuning, it's a lot more difficult, especially if they're playing chords with open notes in them. So you always want to try to, when you're figuring out songs or trying to learn songs, the biggest thing is get in pitch with the CD, whatever. If it's standard tuning, if it's E flat tuning, if it's drop D, whatever, that's a critical thing. It's going to just make it easier for you. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time discerning the notes and whatnot. Okay. So anyway, that's just a little about E flat tuning, why bands use it. If you want to know more about tunings and different tunings, go to our website, nextlevelguitar.com. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lessons for beginners, intermediates, and advanced players. Written lessons. We have hundreds and hundreds of video lessons, written lessons, jam tracks, tons of good stuff. So check that out. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube videos, and we'll keep bringing them. And we will see you in the next lesson. Take care and rock on.